Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. AMC Stock is green on the day, whereas technology is finally taking a move lower, but it's not broad-based. A lot of your large tech stocks, in particular your Apples and Microsofts of the stock market, are actually doing fairly okay today, slightly in red territory when the Nasdaq is down about 1%. I think this makes this dynamic over the next couple of weeks a little bit more interesting, call it that, heading into earnings and what earnings are going to mean for this market. Nonetheless, we are getting some breaking news coming out this morning about OPEC, about home prices, as well as a couple other key things, including a memo that was sent out to Google employees that is cutting back on basically everything and might be a worrisome sign heading into earnings. So we're going to get into everything you guys need to know in this market today, as well as with AMC stock. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comments section. Let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen. AMC stock is up 1.10% here on the day. Like I said in yesterday's video, I think you are firmly in a trading range in between 550 and 450. When you see strong days like we are today, when kind of technology and your overvalued kind of names, technology is so overvalued right now, unless earnings hold up. If they don't, technology is massively overvalued right now. And to see AMC holding up on a day like today, whereas technology is finally taking a small red candle, well, that's a positive thing, and there's definitely no denying that, but I do think we're firmly in that trading range. Now, let's talk about what is currently happening here in the marketplace today. You do have some weird things happening on Twitter with Dogecoin, and I do want to also talk about that here just a little bit in this video. There's not really any news about this. There's not really any information if this was supposed to happen, if this was some kind of hack, if this is an April Fool's kind of joke. But I guess the emblems for Twitter are now Dogecoin, and that is causing Dogecoin to rally about 20% here today. Could be an interesting trade, or I don't even know what to call it at this point. It is starting to get a lot of attention, though. And shout out to Elon Musk for that one. Now, Google to cut down on employee laptop services and staplers for multi-year savings. They also are cutting down on massage therapists and coffee shops and a lot of other things. And they basically cite that people are only in the office like 3 days a week. They don't need those things. And yeah, I would imagine that's probably true. Quite interesting though. I didn't realize if you worked at Google, you just get free massages. Wow, kind of crazy. Learn something new every day. And that is kind of a worrisome sign heading into earnings. Same thing with McDonald's. They're closing corporate offices as it lays off hundreds of workers. Some troubling signs for earnings. But the biggest story of the day is that OPEC, they just made the Fed's job more complicated. And they basically cut the amount of oil that they are going to produce by about 1.16 million barrels per day in a move independent from the broader bloc's output strategy. So what they're basically doing, if I can summarize this for you guys, is they are getting ahead of an economic slowdown to keep the price of oil high. And what that means is usually when you go into a recession, right? Typically when you go into a recession or just an economic down period, a slow growth kind of environment, well, oil doesn't do good. Oil does very poorly. Commodities do very poorly during things like recessions. So if they see that coming already from here, they can, try to boost the price of oil up more now so it's not as low in the future. And it is going to make the Fed's job more complicated because why? Well, oil in CPI, sure, that's a big deal, but the Fed can look past oil. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that oil and gasoline specifically affect every business in the world. It just does. Whether you are a stay-at-home business that ships things online, well, somewhere it's being delivered, right? That's using gasoline. Anything your business needs, essentially, whether it's from the start to the finish, somewhere along that line, there is an effect from oil prices, right? From gasoline prices. And that does affect, margins, and that does lead people to raise prices on their products. So oil going higher is not only just bad for the headline CPI numbers, it's bad for even core PCE and core CPI, because it is a cost that does affect every business in America, in the world, pretty much. So definitely not a good thing. That is causing oil to rip up by about 5% today. And that is probably the biggest thing that is giving you that 1% down move in the NASDAQ here today. And then on top of it, another, I wouldn't say worrisome front on the inflation fight, but definitely not a great sign. Home prices suddenly jump after several months of declines. Home prices suddenly turned higher as mortgage rates slipped. Prices nationally rose 0.16% in February when seasonally adjusted, according to Black Knight. In December and January, mortgage rates began pulling back and home buyers surged ahead. So you're seeing home prices going up for the first time in a long time. You're seeing oil going up 5% today as well. Not really a good sign for that fight on inflation. And that's ultimately the biggest problem that we have. If inflation remains too high, then the Fed will not be able to cut rates, even if you go into recession. And the markets are expecting 4 rate cuts by the end of this year. That's expecting inflation to fall off of a cliff over the next couple of readings. If that does not happen, well, boy, the markets are going to be in a bit of a pickle pretty damn quickly. So those are the big stories that are happening today. Not really getting anything specific on AMC. We can go ahead and see if anything new did come up. There is some just speculation and investor observer, some thought pieces on AMC, but nothing specific to AMC actually happening today. Now, if we go to take a look at the Ortex data on AMC, click on the short data, we can see short interest, up free float, sitting at 25.09%, 129.5 million shares that are sold short. Cost to borrow average 452.9%, cost to borrow max 474.28%, and cost to borrow minimum at about 400%. Now, the most interesting thing that is happening today by far is that Interactive Brokers has the cost to borrow rates jumping by over 100% today alone. Cost to borrow rates earlier we're sitting at 286.22%. Now, the last reading that we just got, cost to borrow rates are sitting at about 330%. Cost to borrow rates on Friday were 180%. So you're up dramatically from last week, and that makes me believe someone somewhere knows something. And if you watch that video, literally that's the title, someone somewhere knows something. The cost of borrow rates can tell you quite a bit, and I think it's no surprise that we've been seeing the cost of borrow rates ramping higher. And then you get some news about the Amazon potential buyout of AMC, so on and so forth. So that is definitely encouraging. Nonetheless, I think that's safe to say. Now, the option activity, very bearish here on the day as well. 33 orders totaling $6.5 million. Positive order value of 2%. And there is that. Now, as far as earnings today, you're going to have Green Lane in after hours, not going to be a big deal. Really, Conagra Brands on Wednesday pre-market, that's one to watch. And then as well as Levi's, WD-40, and Applied Blockchain Thursday after hours, as well as Constellation Brands Thursday pre-market as well. Could be important, guys. So there is all of that. Economic data coming out tomorrow. You're going to get the JOLTS job openings and factory orders month over month. Jolt job quits as well, and Fed Cook that speaks at 12:30 p.m. Those things will also be important, but I think mainly until we get news on AMC and new updates, the stock is probably range bound here. And I mean, as you can see today, technology is down, AMC is up. Doesn't necessarily have to fall. AMC doesn't necessarily have to fall if the markets do fall. So that's something I want to pay attention to. I want to see if technology continues to take a fall, because after all, it was up 24% from the lows in Q1 to where we ended. 24% on the NASDAQ. That is absolutely bonkers. So that is pretty much going to do it for this intraday update. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.